Hey guys, welcome to another installment of the Academy, and thanks for watching.
All right. So first off, guys, thank you. I appreciate. Hopefully, guys, you understand. Appreciate uh, any time you guys give us. And on a Saturday at 3 when you could be playing, it's very cool. And shout out to Neil, who is, if you don't know, I can't imagine anybody here doesn't know, but ASLplayers.net is should be on everybody's bookmark. It's one of the best sites I've ever run around. Neil puts an enormous amount of time and effort into keeping things fresh and new. He's actually live streaming this, so thank you, Neil. And he's going to be offering questions from YouTube people if we get them. Um, and then he'll repost this for your friends that miss it or clubs that miss it or any of that. So let people know. Been too long, guys. Sorry for the downtime. Just a lot of stuff going on. A lot of ASL in the works. But generally, for those of you that are here for the first time, we use this to kind of give you guys a look in. We're very comfortable being transparent about what it is we do. For those of you that don't know, ASL MMP is comprised of Perry Koch, Brian Yals, and I, both who I will admit sorely are members of the ASL Hall of Fame while I'm not, which is a point of contention Brian brings up often. Um, but we're ASL players who make ASL stuff, and we do so via license and contract with Hasbro, and we've been doing it for actually longer than Avalon Hill had ASL under its wing. So we're pretty fired up about that. Lots going on. Shout out to Chad Cummings, winner of the 2025 Winter Offensive. Um, well deserved. Great time, great tournament. Had almost 200 players there, which was great. Some younger players, which was even better. And for those of you that are around the internet, you're starting. Anyway, am starting to see some younger players in the hobby, which is awesome. Not enough, but keep pushing to make that happen. Um, so where are we? Well, Ponry is on pre-order, almost at its number. Should be coming out shortly. Um, and we are very excited. It's been way too long in the making. Master designer and great dude, although he's a Browns fan, Pete Schelling, Don Petros, and a bunch of guys put together what I think is just an amazingly good product. Fun as hell. Don't care what's been published before. There's nothing like this out in the market. And Pete is one of the better designers, if not one of the best in existence. And this product is going to show it. Play tested the hell out of it. Um, and again, for those of you who don't know, I now am in charge of MMP playtesting, and for whatever it's worth, I take that very seriously, and I have an enormously committed group. I see some of them here. Hirsch is here, and a couple other guys who are part of that group. ASL stuff is getting play tested from MMP like it has never done before, and we're going to keep that pace going through 2025 and beyond. To that end, probably as of now, we're looking at an April release for Marco Polo Bridge Hazel. That will be two products. That will be an ASL product and a starter kit product. Um, and along those lines, we're also in the process of reprinting some out of print stuff. The entire starter kit line is intended for reprint shortly. Beyond Valor as well. And we have a rulebook initiative that we think is probably past due in the sense that we're putting together an 8x11 printed rulebook like the binder without the binder, or not, because the binder, from a cost perspective, just doesn't make any sense. Not to mention, I have yet to see an ASL player who has their rulebook in the actual binder still. But the idea is that we are going to publish the 8x11 rulebook and the electronic rule book at some point in the very near future. Those two things will be exactly the same from that day forward. And what that means is that anytime the e-rule book will get updated or does get updated. The printed rule book will receive an update as well, and that'll be done via high resolution PDF pages off our website that will be free to download. For any of you that understand publishing, the pagination and layout of a product can change 50 pages with the addition of a sentence. So what that means is when the ASL rulebook errata is added or changed, um, pagination can change. So what we'll do is we'll issue just standalone PDF pages for you to put into your ASL printed rulebook until such time we can organize the layout to fit within the pages that are printed. But the bottom line is we will not have multiple versions of the ASL rulebook in different states from that day forward. Everything will be simpatico, so to speak, and will be well, in the same order. Along those E lines, the E Hazel rulebook and the Pocket Hazel rulebook are at the finish line. I'm probably more excited about those than anything, but those two are getting finished up. The E Hazel will be cross-linked with the regular rulebook, and so those two will operate in conjunction with each other. And then the Pocket Hazel rulebook will be, and these will include all of the Hazels. We were debating internally how we were going to do it, and it just didn't make sense that we would include some and not the others. The challenge was getting a hold of all of the creators and designers and people involved in those projects. We reached out and tried. We contacted almost every single one to make sure that their compensation is taken care of in relation to their products. So those things are at the finish line. Marco Polo Bridge. And again, if you've been here before, I'm not going to be held to any of these dates, but our targets right now are mid to late April for Marco Polo Bridge and the Marco Polo Bridge starter kit. They will be separate products. Um, Part of that reason, the main reason, is we're trying to identify our audience size. We don't know how many people are buying starter kit. We don't know how many, and we know there's a cross pollination there, but we need to try and get an idea as we develop this. And since we do this both by the law and as an official licensor, it's important for us to understand print run size. For those of you that haven't heard, we are unfortunately having to move our printing process overseas, which is going to create a very different schedule in some cases. And as such, we're trying to accommodate and figure out what that looks like. So hopefully you can bear with us over the next 6 months as we figure that out. But the idea is that Marco Polo Bridge and the starter kit will go on at a minimum pre-order sometime in April. So save your tax money. Farther down the line, well, not farther down the line, but one of the major announcements out of Winter Offensive, in addition to the induction of Brian Yals and Mark Nixon to the ASL Hall of Fame, was that WBC 2025 will now officially host the first ever ASL World Championship. That will be a 32 plus person NCAA bracket divided tournament. As of now, it's going to start Thursday morning. It probably will start Wednesday evening, uh, but we will have an announcement on our website for you to register for the ASL tournament. There's nothing to do; it doesn't cost you anything, but you'll need to be registered for WBC to play. WBC runs July 26th to August 3rd. We're thinking this tournament's going to run from the 30th at the earliest to the 3rd. We will be featuring, for you poker fans, we will be featuring a main table in which the game will be broadcast, streamed live each day with Brian and I and guest commentators doing the commentary. So hopefully that will be worth its weight in gold alone. And then the title game will be, and we're working with and trying to get Neil to help us out to make that happen. But WBC will be the first ever. Prizes include the winner receives MMP for life. The runner-up receives ASL for life. Hold on, let me actually look at the list. I'll read out some of this stuff. Different prizes: MMP for a year, ASL for life, MMP for life, ASL for a year, any one product. Awards for most boxcars, most snake eyes, most heroes generated, neat little trophies, sportsmanship award, just a ton of stuff. And as an aside, um, multiple players, some of the best in the world, have offered mentorship sessions, which we will award to players. Basically a 1 hour ASL session with Steve Pleva or Mike McGrath or somebody of that caliber to help you as an ASL player, which we think will be pretty cool. But there will be multiple. It'll be a single elimination bracket for the World Championship, and there will be multiple brackets below that will allow players, if you show up and play and lose in the first round, there'll be brackets and games all the way through Sunday, with prizes going all the way through Sunday as well. Um, Hoping to see some of our Euro friends to make it a truly world championship. But right now, we received really enthusiastic response, much better than we were expecting at Winter Offensive. So uh, the intent right now is that it'll be at least a 32 player tournament. Could be up to, if it gets to 64, it'll end up starting on Wednesday evening. But we're going to wait and see. The sign up sheet will be on our website at some point soon. And players will be ranked. There's a couple. There's a player ranking system that I had not known about that's out there that's literally up to date with the world rankings for players that play in tournaments around the world. So it features European players as well. I do know that if I'm not mistaken, 4 of the top 5 ranked players in the world on that list will be in attendance and playing. Um, so I'm very very fired up about that. So and then at WBC, the plan right now is to have Journal 16 ready. And in Journal 16 will be a Don Petros designed, uh, I'll use air quotes around Hazel on Carpetcat Airfield, um, which we've been playtesting. A very different little Hazel, fun as hell. Couple boards will be included. Oh, and by the way, the WBC tournament will be 6, possibly 7 double blind scenarios. Nobody playing in the tournament will see the scenarios prior to the tournament. And it will run from desert to PTO to night. So the guy that wins it or the gal that wins it will have a very thorough understanding of the ESL rules as they are laid out, which we're pretty fired up about. Anyway, so that's WBC, and then in October, ASLOC. The idea is that the Rotterdam campaign game will either be on sale or available for pre-order, along with the ASLOC Action Pack that comes out every year. Um, that's a hope. The Rotterdam playtest is going great. For those of you that have seen it, it's incredibly unique, different, fun, nothing like you've ever played before. But David Myler and a group of guys over there have created and submitted a pretty amazing product, and I've been playtesting it for a long, long time, and it's nearing completion, and it's a heck of a product. It's a ton of fun, and it's like I said, it's different than anything you've ever played. Um, Reaching out to Winter Offensive 2026, the plan is that we will release Journal 17, the Winter Offensive mini pack that we raise money for the World War II Foundation for, and the Kharkov Hazel. Hopefully, will be ready to put in your hands at Winter Offensive 2024, 2026. So we're excited about that. Um, what else? The rule book printing. Chef DuPont will be probably an insert. Um, that's well, playtesting for the most part is completed. That is going to be heading to the printers in some short order and will be included in. It won't be a standalone product. It's not big enough, but it's another very much along the lines of St. Mary smaller Hazel, very manageable, smaller Hazel. Excited about that one. That's a Ken Dunn thing. ASL starter kit reprint 1 to 4, along with Decision at Elst, is going to be seeing reprint sometime in the next probably 6 months, along with the ASL Starter Kit magazine issue #1, which is almost completely done and should be heading to the printer shortly. Um, And then lastly, something that we kind of ran across that um, we're actually very excited about. So if you play vasl, and you have the OBA flowchart extension, you know what it is. It's an extension of the OBA flowchart, but it makes OBA so much easier. We actually created a phone app, um, complete with the wah 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 when you draw a red card. Uh, but the idea hit us, and I think we're going to try and move with that we will on our website be hosting a server that will host the OBA flowchart, potentially the overrun flowchart, chapter H, via your phone or via an app. And the idea would be what we're thinking about doing is we would offer this initial product. You could download it, use it, whatever. And then at some point in the very near future, we would charge a monthly subscription of like 99 cents, some cheap monthly subscription. That would never change, but the volume of content would. We would be adding whatever we would add to that would actually be part of the subscription fee that you signed up for. Um, we're just messing with that. We're not sure if the audience is ready for that. But I do know that the app has been indispensable and it's a blast. So we're kind of towing the line, putting our toe in the water for that one to get a feel for what that is. And like I said earlier, the Beyond Valor reprint is almost completed from a component standpoint. Every day that we don't have that in print, every day that we don't have the rule book in print, every day that we don't have the starter kit, you don't need to tell us the obvious, which is we're missing a customer, we're losing a customer, and that's not a good thing. Lastly, for kind of the new products, so I'm not a DYO guy, never have been, but I ran into a group of guys that had a DYO system, and they created something about 25 years ago, and I started playing it about 6 to 8 months ago, and I do so every Friday night. And it's turned into what we call the ASL Club campaign system. And basically, what it allows you to do is, you know what? I'm going to try, if I can, I'm going to try and share a screen with you guys. Hold on one second. That shows the product. But basically, what it is it's a DYO system that allows for groups and clubs to play 2 to 10 player games. And and I say this with guarded enthusiasm. There's an RPG element to it, uh, and it is cool as hell. And like I said, I don't do DYO, but I'm absolutely invested in this one, and I am loving it. So let me show you a quick. So let me show. All right, yeah. Let me do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here. And this is the German, the Wehrmacht force page. So basically, one second. Let me see if I can do this. Bear with me, please. I know I can do this. I've done it before, so I don't know what the heck. I want to share my screen, and I'm not sure how to do that. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. But I want to show you. So basically, the gist of it is Friday night, you guys show up at your club meeting. There's 8 people. You split up into 4 sides. Everybody on the first date, you'll pick your core force. You'll pick an allied force. You'll pick an axis force, and that will start at rank 1. And you'll have with each core force, you'll get support weapon points and upgrades from a list of support weapon purchases and upgrades available to that nationality. And you start at rank 1, and through the game process, there's a very simple generation process which you create based on the mission. There's tables and charts to create the 4 to 6 map boards that will be in play. Along with victory conditions, you gain mission points and valor points. Mission points accumulated to a high enough value will allow you to promote or level your force, and with that comes new perks, better units, more upgrades. Basically, it's got an RPG element to it that's very, very cool. the uniqueness in it is that you can pick any of the Axis side. So you take a Wehrmacht Axis force and a British Allied force, and if you end up on the British side, or the Allied side, you're Allied force. But you level up and can play a scenario literally in one kind of setting, one night, which is I think valuable. The DYO system is something that players swear by or hate, and I've never been a DYO guy, but I've bought into this. I've had an absolute blast doing this. Um, and I think it's worth the effort. That Oh, you know what? I know why. Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on. I know why. I know why. Because I'm on two computers and it's on. I have it on the other. Okay. All right. Hold on one second. All right. I might dis. All right. So that was. I don't know if you can still see the screen. Um, but that was kind of the Wehrmacht force page, and the core rules. Hey Neil, can you still see my screen? Okay. 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 Sorry about that. I'm sorry about that, guys. I didn't mean to get this hung up. I thought it was going to be a lot easier. Um, but the gist of it is, and I'm going to show it to you guys again. You'll see the Wehrmacht force page, and basically this will be kind of the ranks with which you can buy. I'll scroll up and down. You'll see the upgrades and the support forces, and then a thing called Valor Point purchases. But all this is part of the system. And I would tell you this: it's got almost 3 decades worth of play testing done, and uh, it's fun for someone that doesn't play. And like for last night, every scenario 6 turns, um, and all the things that go in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen on my other computer. You might not hear me for a second, but you don't need to hear me. You just probably. So every force will have one of these charts. The idea right now, we're going to do it. We're going to laminate the pages and provide like a grease pencil that you can mark them up with. But the system is a blast, and we're having a great time playing it. And that will be kind of a standalone product. But for you guys that have ASL clubs, I think it's going to be an awesome potential conduit to play. Not to mention, you can play with up to 8. Well, you can play with as many players as you want. But one of the things that I found is if you have a club of players with different varying skill levels, you can pair off sides and work with and help lesser players, newer players learn the rules of certain things based on Japanese and theater and weather and whatnot. But anyway, that's right now labeled the ASL Club campaign system. That probably will be available sometime in the next 6 months. Um, so stay tuned for that. For those of you that haven't been here before, if you want to if you'll notice at the top of the channel, ASL MMP Roundtable, there's a little chat bubble. And if you mouse over it, it says open chat. If you have a question, throw it there. And Neil has a live stream going. So if anybody, Neil, has questions, they're free to throw it in and ask anything. Um, yep, yep. ASL Club Campaign System. Yes, yes. No, it's going to be a product right now, and it will feature. Let me hold on. Let me look. It will feature. Let's see the core charts. Mission sheet: Germany, Wehrmacht, SS, Italians, Finnish, Japs, U.S. Army, United States Marine Corps, United Kingdom, Russian, Free French, Polish People's Army, Polish Western Allied Army, and Chinese right now. But they all will have their own separate dividers. And like I said, the idea right now is to laminate and allow you to use those and mark those up. Um, so somebody asked, will there ever be a BV RB bundle? We actually did that. I think it was the second Beyond Valor we had published. I can't answer that right now, Young. The we're moving overseas. Printing costs is going to hopefully go down. Well, it is going down, and that savings is going to be passed along directly to you, and that's the number one reason we're doing it. We're looking around at the market space with people charging um, $200 for a product that has no business being $200, and our products are reaching the upper 100s, and we want to get away from that. So we're trying to bring our prices down by going to China. Um, but the answer to that is I don't know, Young. But Beyond Valor needs to get put back into print, and we're trying to make that happen as soon as possible. And then Jal asks about the Spanish Civil War module. We ran into a couple speed bumps with that. One of the designers left, um, but I would tell you that the guys still on it are incredibly passionate. They're still play testing. Um, I don't have a firm date for that one right now. It got pushed back a little bit because of the bumps, but we're working with the guys left on the project to make sure that gets published. And so, yes, that's still on in the pipeline. But I would say it's coming close. And by close, I mean probably the next 12 to 16 months. Hopefully, we'll see. Um, what else? What do we got? The WBC scenarios, they will be released somehow. Um, so expect that. By the way, they're being designed by Pete Shelling, who is phenomenal. And we have a lot of very skilled players who aren't going to be at the tournament testing them. So no one in the tournament will have seen them prior to the round that they play the scenarios in. Yes, Benjamin, we are planning on reprinting the entire starter kit. 1 to 4 plus decision at Elst. I don't know, and that's a 2025 thing where that's going to happen in this calendar year, sooner rather than later, like everything else we'd love. But that is actively being pushed and pursued for all the reasons that it should be. Blaze asks, EA has a rulebook. We had an amazing team, and a couple of the guys are actually on here right now who have helped. Massive editing job. That's near completion. And again, I'm going to say I'm looking forward to that probably as much as anything coming. That will see print shortly. And with that will come the Pocket Hazel rulebook. And all the stuff that goes with that. But we're working very quickly to get that back into print. Beast asked when we'll be able to sign up. It'll be shortly, within the next probably 7 days, BB. And the sooner the better, because you know per WBC rules, we cannot cut off sign up, which we don't want to. But if you think about ranking and having the brackets ready to go for the tournament, a late sign up is not a great thing for us, but we'll accommodate. But we'd like to have the players ranked. And then we will be putting out a list of contents um, that you need to bring. Obviously, information counters, but we'll be putting out a list of contents that you bring to play all the scenarios should you make it all the way through. We're hopefully going to be providing the boards there, so you won't have to bring your boards. But I know ASL players bring them anyway. But we'll try to make sure that there's the smallest pain point possible in coming across. Jonathan, I assume it's going to be a separate file. I don't know. Um, but it will be cross-linked. Um, so and that is actually one of the allures to it, and one of the sexy points to it is that it will be cross-linked. Which if you guys haven't tried it, I can't emphasize enough that the e-rule book is the greatest thing ever. Jesse, Winter Offensive, we're moving hotels. Not sure where or when yet, but we're moving hotels. Um, for those of you that weren't there this year, we had a well, the problem is this. Uh, unfortunately, crime is a major issue in Maryland. And I don't know if moving hotels is going to solve that. But we're going to put demands on the hotel hosting from a security perspective and a parking lot patrol perspective. Given the size of the body of people we bring, we feel like we can do that. Um, because what happened was unacceptable. It'll still be in Maryland. Yes. Yes, it will. It'll be yeah, it'll always be in Maryland near as close to MMP and the headquarters as we can get. Um so yeah. But again, for those of you that endured the problems, we honestly could not be uh more upset about what happened. But you know, yeah, we're not moving it to Canada ever, Pete. But yeah, we're not doing anything ever in Canada. But it's a nice thought. So, what else? Let me see what else I might have here for you guys to talk about. Rotterdam testing is going great. Uh, Kharkov is good. Carpet Airfield is kind of a new thing, but it's getting tested and it's a blast. It's very different than, and that's not really a hassle. There's a scenario compilation at the end of it to play all the scenarios, but it's a really fun, very different setup. There's going to be a geo map of Carpet Airfield in the product, along with another one. Um, but the orders of battle and the scenarios are very unique and different to stuff that's already out there. And the date I have here, guys, for Ponry to ship, physically ship, and you can't hold me to this, but it's March 1st. And with the potential to be pushed a week or two, but that's the target date right now. Sazl update's going phenomenal. That's cranking away at a pretty quick pace. I don't have dates for you, but that's something that was actually a topic of a legitimate, significant topic of discussion, and that's getting done, working quickly. All right, Four Bridges next year. Fox and the Rats is next year. White Death next year. Those three are probably 2026 releases. Four Bridges is being tested, worked on independently. I have the Fox and the Rats. I'm expanding that product to some pretty cool stuff. You can see the design issue I had when the product I was using and the books I was using. All of the scenarios were from 4041, Italian, Australian, British, and the CG was from the Third Battle of El Alamein, which is late in the year. Very different forces, so they didn't marry, they didn't match up. So I've gone back to the drawing board, and it's going to probably be contain two different Hazels. One will be the Battle for Tobruk, with the Hazel map on the defensive southwestern perimeter outside of Tobruk that changed hands a bunch of times. Mainly Italian, Australian, Italian, British. And then the second one, the scenarios in the Hazel, and then the scenarios in the Hazel for the second campaign game in it will be mostly 15th, 21st Panzer, 90th against the 8th Army at El Alamein, Alim El Halfa, and stuff like that. Again, another very different product, and I know this is might go on deaf ears, but I can promise you, if you're a newer player, there is probably no easier setting to play scenarios in than the desert. Once you get past the fact that it's a new chapter of rules, it's one of the easiest environments to play in because there's the routing rules get very limited, and line of sights aren't challenging. So, but we're excited about it. Yeah. So that's that. Um, and I'm here for questions. If you guys have anything you want to ask, and like I said, I'll answer anything. I won't necessarily provide the answer you may be looking for. Armies of Oblivion. You know what, Brian? Let me get back to you on that, because I'm not sure. White Death is the finished one. That's in the queue, not up front. Um, no pun intended. But as Ponry comes off the books, Marco Polo Bridge, Carpet Airfield, and Rotterdam and Kharkov and stuff, you'll see it. It'll creep up to the front as we go. And and like I said, I'm generally pretty open about um, where we are with what we're at, and what products are where. So you can usually ping me and I can give you an idea if there's something specific you're looking for outside of those. But Starter Kit Magazine, Neil, that should be in your hands. I would tell you less than 3 months. Um, it's almost ready to be done. By almost ready, I mean we're doing some final edits and whatnot. But I'm telling you, it's there and almost ready to be published. Polish Eagles. Oh yeah, so that's actually a good question, Arim. We are of the mind to make everything out of print, non-module wise, available electronically via Wargamers Vault. Um, I can't tell you what that specifically looks like, but that's something we're absolutely taking under advisement and working on and towards. Blaze Polish Eagles is next year. It's next year because I think there's more to it than we initially thought, and it can be a little bigger product than initially thought. So yeah, but it's got well, and there's some major rules coming into play with it that need to be vetted, tested front to back. Number one being armored trains. Um, you know, and you'll see in Ponry that there's armored trains, but they have a neat little quick rules section for them. Um, but they were a significant part of the Polish campaign on both sides. So they're going to get counters and all of that, which means they're going to get a pretty significant amount of rules added as well. It's kind of where I think we're probably going to see our first challenge in keeping the rule books up to date with each other via PDF pages on the website and the e-rule book updates and stuff like that. But the goal is that we will do that with everything from here on out. So you will never want again be at a table and looking at a printed rule book up to date and your opponent using an e-rule book and you both having different answers to the same question. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever for a game this complex to have a rule book in anything other than uh, in 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 uh, in conjunction with each other. Yes, chapter H. Yes, and like I said, Hirsch, I think the idea is, and I think we're headed towards. We have a really cool potential app that you can put on your phone or your iPad that you can find chapter H anything at the couple touches of the screen. But yes, it will be in the e version. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Russian, German initially, as is published. But I don't quote me on that. That well, it's easy. I guess if you guys just assume my answer to everything is going to be, we'll do it in the easiest possible manner for you guys that makes sense for us as a business. Yeah, no, that's the thing about the binder rule book is that you know I think a lot of people like me have a copy that's literally penciled and marked up from years of errata and Perry says, and trying to get that printed, I think, is an important thing. But like I said, more importantly, the goal needs to be that whatever rule book you're holding in your hand is the up to date version. The idea from a business perspective, just so you guys know, the pocket rule book. So the idea would be that the pocket rule book, the e rule book, and the binder would all be the same versions. You can see the challenge for the pocket rule book. So the thought would be that every January of every year, we would put the pocket rule book up for pre-order. And if we met that number and it was feasible financially for us to reprint, we would reprint that, which would put that pocket rule book up to date with the binder and the e-rule book for that year. And doing that annually would let us gauge interest on: do people really want this? Do people really use this? Um, yeah, I get BB. You're gonna thank heavens you did that because it's the coolest thing ever. You know what, Hirsch? It is so expensive to print on demand something that big that I don't think people would pay for it, and I wouldn't blame them. It's so expensive because we're not going to print a PDF black and white version, right? We're not going to do something that isn't of the quality of stuff we publish. So it needs to be perfectly professionally done because remember now, with that new rulebook is going to come all the updated charts, and that's not a small thing anymore. So the idea right now is that we'll print the binder rulebook without the binder. If demand for the binder gets to the point where financially it's feasible, yeah, we'll do it. We just don't think that people are going to want to pay the price for the binder that we would have to charge to make money. And as a business, we need to make money because we have full-time employees and all things that go with businesses, and we have to pay Hasbro. So, KD, we're actually in that we've just entered the portal now. So we're going to find it basically what we've allotted for it. So think about it like this: right now, printing in the U.S., we get components in, and we have to have people collate and compile the components. From our Chinese printer, we will get the components back, uh, collated, boxed, and shrink wrapped. So right now, it looks like I think the time frame we've used is from the time we send that first proof over, we're looking at 4 months to have printed copy in house. But that's different because when that printed copy comes, it goes right out the door, which is huge. So now we don't have to allocate. Well, Blaze, that's part of the process. Is the stuff we've gotten has been phenomenal, right? We can't have somebody printing white-sided counters for a gray-sided counter game. So the QA is a big deal. They're obviously cognizant of that. We have a process by which they send us and I'm using air quotes, a final version. And if we sign off on it and get a shitty product, that's our fault. But we believe, and a lot of companies do this. I mean, if you look at other companies that have 500 games on pre-order, this is how they do it. So it's going to fall on us, and we're okay with that. But I think, and I'm pretty comfortable saying this, I think that the price points are going to make you smile compared to what we're having to charge now to be profitable. And ultimately, that's, we'd like to, you know, listen, I'm going to say this, and I've said this forever. I didn't get into MMP and ASL to make money. That's never been a current. Now we have full-time employees. We have a fiduciary responsibility. We have to pay Hasbro, and all things go with that. But no product we've ever published has had its number one goal to be profit or profit margin. And that might sound like bad business, but I think we all understand you guys because we're you guys, and that's the other thing I need you to understand. And I've always reemphasized we're ASL players playing ASL, printing, publishing ASL. Um, Zenovan, will you ever add print dates on module reprints? I don't know that we'll do that. I think I think the idea is that we would put versions, different versions. And the new printing strategy, Brian, is MMP wide if it needs to be, where it needs to be. Right. So thinking about it, let's just say, for example, and part of and you guys don't need to know this, and Brian would probably be mad at me for talking about it, but there's some details inside this. When you ship from China, it costs you more if you can't fill a container. So the goal is that we would have enough product to print to ship to fill a container to lower our cost. Um, anybody that does business like this knows that. So our goal is to have products that will fill a container when they ship. Now, if we go ahead, I'm just going to spitball. If we order 5,000 of each starter kit, we can finish. We'll fill a container, um, but we will have inventory. And if anybody understands this business, having inventory is a daily loss of money. Um, but the idea is that we're going to reprint in volumes that will give us years of stock. Because I think we're very much like you guys. We see people repeatedly in social media saying, "I really want to play SL, but I can't find the starter kit, or I can't find Beyond Valor," and that we just can't let that continue happening. Um, but we don't have bottomless pockets either. So we have to make the best and smartest decision for the company with your guys' interests as a very close second priority. And we've tried. I think hopefully again with these roundtables and the stuff that we've done, hopefully you guys know we're an open book in many ways. We'll tell you what we think. Might not be what you want to hear, but we won't we and I can give you my word, and I'm raising my hand to God. We will never lie to you ever. There's no reason. Because I think at the end of the day, we all have the same interest. We want a lot of ASL stuff, and we want to play it, even if we have more than we could ever play already, which all of us do. um, we want to incentivize you to get the new stuff because, and that's the frustrating part. I'll go off on a tangent here for those of you guys that work third parties. I'm, it is what it is, but we're the only people paying a royalty to produce ASL. So third parties, you might not think it, but they're making money hand over fist because they don't have overhead other than their publishing costs. And, uh, you know, I'm comfortable saying, and this is not a popular opinion, and that's fine. Hey, Jal, the MMP website just got updated, just moved to a new server, so it should be better. Um, but but we're the only ones paying third party or paying royalties, and it's not a small thing. It impacts us tremendously. And I'm not whining at all. I'm just saying that what we can't do is, we've run into some situations. We can't, if you're publishing third party stuff, we can't work with you. We're not, by law we can't, and by our contract we can't. And that sucks because there's a lot of third party stuff we would have liked to have seen official. I think one of the reasons is by the wayside in the sense in that, it used to be you'd submit something MMP and it wouldn't see print for 2 years. That's no longer the case. If you're not going to see print for 2 years, we'll give it back to you. Um, Young, is there any way to advertise ASL? Yeah. Yeah. No, I think there's a better way to do that. Young, we're still trying to figure it out. We've always been trying to figure out a better way to reach the masses. This short attention span generation, ASL is not the optimal product, but we are seeing younger players. Um, Scott, we've inquired, um, and it's something that's kind of ongoing. If that situation ever presents itself as an opportunity, we will do it. I can promise you that. Hey, whoever's got hey, Drake, can you mute your mic, please? I'm getting thank you. Just getting background noise, sorry. Just getting some background noise. Um, so yeah, uh, like I said, I know my opinion is not popular, when it comes to third parties, but, I'm on this end looking and I see the numbers, and I know that third parties are not having a positive impact on us. No one's buying ASL products to because they want to play a third party product. That doesn't happen. I would argue it's never happened. Um, but neither here nor there in the sense that there's nothing we can do about it. And I would tell you that from that perspective, there is some activity on the other end and concern about copyright that we could see potential. I don't want to say action, but whatever the word is, just because of their legal responsibilities to their trademarks. Um, Neil, Star Leader, I'm looking and we keep looking for someone to head the project. Guys, we have a product called Star Leader, and it's basically ASL Mech Warrior. And it's very cool. It's got two factions. Like think about the Alliance and the Republic and you know, the Star Wars factions, but there's a third one in Star Leader that is AI driven. The Empire, yeah, thank you. Uh, a third faction that is AI driven. Yeah, they will be on pre-order. Yes. Um, but they're gonna probably be printed anyway, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, we're looking for someone to lead that project, Neil. We haven't had anybody be able to grab it because we've got so much else other stuff going on. But it's basically ASL Star Leader, and the person that submitted the design kit did an amazing job. It's cool as hell. Um,
So how much design work needs to be done?
you know what? I don't know that.
Oh,
I think the design, quote unquote, is done. It needs to be played, and we need to understand what it actually is. Um, I haven't played it, um,
so
but again,
so
the
it is
components
playable.
look. It's play absolutely. It's 100% playable.
Okay.
Absolutely. Um, and I have the kit, and we've been reaching out to different people. Yes, Drake, Rotterdam is due this year. Um, still on tap. Yeah, it's that's a good analogy, Blaze. But I would also call it ASL meets Mech Warrior in a sense. It's very cool. Probably a lot of it can be whittled down a little bit from a rules perspective, but the maps look cool as hell. The counters look really cool, and the units look awesome. Imagine, space vehicles, space tanks, and all that stuff. And it's not a really thick rule book, which is kind of nice, but it's a very unique twist on ASL. And for those that like Mech Warrior, which is an enormous audience, are you asking about the 1 inch counter thing? So the idea there, we thought about this one. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Mark Newcomb did ASL at 1 inch counters, and I think it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And when I see tournaments with people in magnifying glasses, I wonder if we shouldn't. Uh, but we're thinking about Kickstarter, Blaze, um, as a way to get that to the masses if it happens. Uh, I'm in love with it. But you can imagine, and I'm also the guy. Yeah, no, that's where we're at, brother. We understand. We've talked about um, what it might look like. Uh, there were some people that were like, "Hey, let's do new scenarios and new boards," and I was like, and I think most of us were like, "No, no. If we can't just reprint the basic system, I don't know that it's smart to do because I don't want separate products and have to support separate products." Um, and I don't think that that's an endeavor that would garner the audience that would allow us to print it in the numbers. But we're thinking about Kickstarter. We actually talked about that. Um, but I got to tell you, if you haven't seen it, it's one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen. Obviously, all new art, 1 inch counters. I think what inch and a quarter hexes. But it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's so easy to read. But is it worth the price point, which would probably be up there, So, and then, we've talked about and delved into, do we reprint the system as it is? Because Beyond Valor becomes a massive product if you're going to print it counter for counter. And that just, I think the idea would be almost a paratrooper like starter set, and then nationalities. The nationalities, the maps would all be blown up to accommodate 1 inch, half inch, 1 inch counters. No, Brian has not submitted that. Just an FYI. Um, so, guys, I'm here. Anything else? Yeah, it is a little deluxe, but I got to tell you, Scott, the art is otherworldly. It is. French Indochina is in discussion. We ran into an issue with the Arab-Israeli war submission, uh, and Hasbro with the world events going on. Um, as happy or sad as that makes you, there's just nothing we can do about it until we get the okay with them. So the French Indochina stuff has moved up in the queue, so to speak, and we're in discussions about how, when, where that looks to be something. Um, Jax, I usually do once a month. It's been a couple months I did last one, but I'll do another one a month from now. I usually do these every 30 days. So yeah, that's the idea, BB. I think Drake, I think Sazzle, the reprint is going to be upgraded and updated with everything to date. I don't hold me to that, but I haven't been in that personally, hands in it. But I'm there's gonna from what I understand, there's going to be quite a bit of new content, but don't hold me to that. There will be new content though, updated charts and all the things that go with that. Yeah, that's in the queue then. I'm sure that went right into the queue. Gotta tell you, another project that I'm working on, um, kind of on the sidelines, uh, and I think it's going to be awesome because I'm designing it. I've taken basically the commissar's house, and blown up and created potentially 1 inch hex maps for the commissar house to the fuel depot all the way to the rote house, I think, and am creating a mini campaign game around the commissar's house with some very unique rules. Units are all fanatic in the commissar's house. Yeah. Nobody breaks in the commissar's house. You just casualty reduce. Blah blah. I think it's got potential to be amazingly cool. And with the details that have come out in the last 10 or 15 years, Island of Fire and all the other books, there's a very simple but heavily work involved process of getting orders of battle and all that stuff. But that's on the back burner. I just think that would be so cool to, because the Red Barricades map has potential for a lot of different places, the manufacturing hall and all the other ones, to be kind of blown up into a larger map and played with on uh, smaller orders of battle. And the battle for the Commissar sauce lasted weeks. Um, so that's in the works. And then just so you know, Scott is working on a very far forward on a starter kit Red Barricades product. So hopefully, you see, there's a lot going on. We're Drake Ponry will hopefully, we're looking at a ship date. We're targeting March 1st as a ship date. Could be a week or two behind that, but all the stuff is rolling in. And just so you guys know, also, um, oh shit, what was I gonna say? Starter kit. Oh my god, I forgot what I was gonna say. I fucking hate getting old. Um, oh, I know what it was. Uh, so in Ponry, there's 3 maps: north, central, south. Unfortunately, I'm not sure why it happened, but the rail station at Ponry, which was a major landmark and fought over extensively, comes at the cut of 2 maps. So what we did was we took all of the scenarios involving the rail station and all of the map coordinates of those scenarios. And we basically created a fourth map. So if you're playing any of the scenarios, non-campaign game scenarios involving the rail station, you'll have a smaller map. So you won't have to pull out two Hazel maps to play it. But again, hopefully those little things make you guys understand that we are ASL players at heart, and we're trying to do the right thing when it comes to our products with you guys. And we're always taking feedback. Doesn't mean we're listening, but we're taking it. Yeah, that's something, unfortunately, that that you know, we actually are doing that with Carpet Airfield. One of the Carpet Airfield maps, well, actually, the specific, I think, map 53 is used in a lot of scenarios, and in some of the later scenarios, all of the orchards are shell holes. So we're printing map 53 on one side, and on the other side is the map with the orchards represented as shell holes. So you don't have to envision, or you don't have to place 55 shell hole counters on the map before the scenario starts. So yeah, actually, Drake, that's a good question. Four Bridges is on work. There's a Market Garden game in the works, kind of an area move game, solo game that we're working on. Bill Cirillo and his group are now working on the Battle for Jebsheim, but they have a magazine based around Budapest and Twilight of the Reich that they've been working on. Well, again, Blaze, printing winter maps is not as easy as you think, because we have to go in and redo all the maps. It's not as simple as just overlaying snow on the map. It's a redone map, and it's a lot of work. And the return on investment has never felt like it was there. So, yeah, no, I mean that's I get it, but like I said, I'm not gonna lie to you. It just doesn't. It's not worth it to us to do that. That would be and I'd say not worth it in the sense that we can do pre-orders, but think about the amount of work, the volume of work needed to turn 90 some maps winterized, or 50 anyway. But it's not just throwing snow on the maps, it's reprinting and redoing the whole map and then putting snow on it, and it just isn't conducive to making money. So not that you know what I'm saying. So anyway, yeah, but I mean, that's part of the challenge of SSRs for me. Is I have a hard time envisioning a map full of rubble when it's not. Well, I mean, there's no reason you can't do that yourself, John. Using a clear acetate overlay as snow, but uh, is it worth it for the one scenario you're going to play in the snow? Now Hatton was all done in snow, so that made sense, right? But like I said, what a lot of and you should hear some of the dumbass ideas we come up with. I'm sorry, let me back that up. The dumbass ideas I come up with at MMP production meetings, only to sound about 5 minutes in like, God, what was I thinking? Because none of it is, oh, you know what? I know I needed to mention this. About 6 or 8, and this will be it. I'll close after this. About 6 or 8 months ago, Mike McGrath and Steve Pleva reached out to us, and they basically submitted a lengthy list of rules that are broken, need fixed, they don't like. And when you factor in the fact that there's a couple 100,000 game turns of ASL between them, it behooves you to listen. And we have listened. And to that end, in the next journal, the plan is that we are going to be submitting a page or so of rules in 3 categories: completely redone and fixed rules, such as foxholes; optional rules that you can use, such as Pleva's OBA, which I use all the time, third die rate of fire; and then rules that we don't think are broke, don't need any attention, and hey, if you want to play them, play them. But we are working with these guys, and this is probably some of the better ASL players on the planet who are playing every day and who understand why a rule's broken or what needs to be fixed. The problem is, well, I don't want to say the problem, but a lot of times when you think about fixing a rule, a lot of you will say, "Hey guys, just change this word in this rule to fix this rule," and not understanding that changing that rule, that word and that rule attaches itself to about 15 other exceptions, and nothing is done in a silo. So while Perry can feel glacially slow sometimes, I think his do no harm mantra from the rules perspective has served well. And I got to tell you, I think the game is proof, right? Yes, because that's the big one, Mike. How many scenarios is it going to change? One of the things is vehicle bypass freeze. How many scenarios does that change? And if it does it unbalance them really? Um, which is an unanswerable set of questions in many ways. So we have to be careful that the couple thousand official scenarios in print, and I don't think we're in danger of them being obsolete or unbalanced, but it's something we absolutely think about and look at when we're factoring that in. Yeah. Yeah. No, agreed, Pete. That's absolutely. And again, we can never look at this stuff in a silo, so to speak. We have to kind of look at the broader picture. Right. No, yeah, that's right. I mean, like I said, if you look at the one big one is the vehicle bypass freeze thing, right? Like there's some subtle changes they want to make to the rule, basically being you can't hold a unit in I can't remember what it is. I'd have to read it, you know. But it's stuff that we've all talked about. There's other stuff they want. You know, one of the things, and they've submitted some really cool ideas. One of them is support weapon repair can be done at any time during the turn, which I think is cool as hell. Um, what else? Radios never X. They can break, but the fact of the matter is, I think as I work in designing and all this other stuff, one of the things I realize is a lot of people don't take into effect the time frame of an ASL scenario. In some cases, it's 5 minutes. So yes, you can break your OBA, but if you but that 5 minute period or 10 minute period of an ASL scenario, you need your options working. I understand not getting an OBA module, but losing it seems drastic when you're not in a campaign game setting. Disabling a vehicle's MA, you know, being able to fix that at any time, as opposed to the rally phase. Because now, are you going to charge that machine gun nest with a broken heavy? That may or may not fix it. So you know, it opens up. There's some of this stuff is really, I think, adds an enormous amount of gameplay. Adds more fog of war into it. So yeah. All right. And again, guys, thank you for the time. Very much appreciate you guys coming out. Um, always here. Neil, thank you for taping this. Guys, Neil's gonna probably have this up on his site at some point next 2 or 3 days.
Yep.
If you want to rewatch it or if your friends that haven't seen it. Um, but thank you. And we're all like I said, guys, we're always looking for play testers. And if you want to play test, I have a tremendous group of incredibly passionate, committed guys. Um, and if you want balanced scenarios, help us make them. Right. And like I said, every month there'll be another one in March. Month from now, generally try to figure this time on a Saturday or Sunday. And with Neil taping them all, it kind of helps me not worry about that. So yeah. And again, I'm always on my server here. If you want to play test for us, up above us right there, you'll see a priority playtest channel. That is the scenario where we're playtesting. The Rotterdam map for vasl is in there. The Rotterdam extension I created is in there. All feedback goes in the playtest input feedback channel. You're more than welcome to help us out if you want. Pay close attention to the rules. There's a lot of, you know, hazard specific stuff. Love to have you. And there's you can see the other projects up there. Most of them are private and locked, but the stuff we're getting ready to submit and playtest is up there. So thank you guys. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. If you're in the east and freezing, I apologize. You know, this sucks. I didn't move here for this, but it is. Neil, thank you, brother, as always. And I'll you guys take care of yourselves. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank Kurt.
Yep.
Get to the chopper!
If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you saw, thanks for watching, and let me know how I can do better. See you in the next video.